Here comes the intro. Skip forward 30 seconds if you want to get right to the episode. This is the Tailboard Talk podcast, the best health, wellness, and lifestyle resource for the fire service. We're using stories, lessons, and tips from the front lines to give a realistic view of what the job can do to us and how we can make it out alive. I'm Chris Morella, a firefighter since 03, medic since 05, full-time since 08, and promoted to lieutenant in 20. I'm also a personal trainer and strength coach, and I'm here to give you the best information and host the best discussions to make us capable and durable, both on the job and away from it. So grab a heater, steal some fancy creamer from First Shift, and let's go chat. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tailboard Talks Firefighter podcast. I'm Chris, your host from First Shift Fitness, and we're getting right into it today. I don't know if I'm going to keep this part in or not, but I'm also taking video. One of the first times I've done this. Actually, a little history for you. Listen, I know I said I hate backstories in general, but this actually Tailboard Talk started as a video thing, like on Instagram and on YouTube. It was like short 3 to 5 minute little things where I talk about just little topics. And I put it up there. I started doing that when we had Nathan. Nathan was a baby and I wasn't going out to departments. So I started doing these little 3 to 5 minute things as little samples or just a way to keep practicing talking. Then I started going to departments more, and then the pandemic hit, so then I started the audio podcast because I was like, man, that video thing was way too tough, way too much involved. But I think hopefully with the technology we're using now, it streamlines the process. It's a doable thing, I hope, and maybe we'll start doing video. Maybe we'll keep doing video, whatever. Anyways, listen, I got into it yesterday on Instagram on my broadcast channel because some stuff was bugging me. Okay, and I threw some, I don't want to call them controversial, but some unpopular opinions out there. So I want to talk about it real quick because, of course, it spurred into a conversation. And listen, this is one of these things. This broadcast channel is weird, I think, because I can say stuff, but people can react with emojis or whatever, the emoticons, whatever the click and hold the respond thing is. So basic ones, but they can't respond back. But thankfully and luckily, I have people that I can talk to on the side that they'll send me a message or I can reach out to them. Usually I send it when I have something like this going on. I'll send it to a few people and see if I'm just way off or what the deal is. Trust me, it's not for validation. I'm usually sending it to people I know it's going to clash with because it's an unpopular opinion. And sometimes I don't know if I'm off base and I'm just emotional about something or if I'm in the right. So here's what I said. And I said, unpopular opinion. You do not need the support of your department to start, continue, or make progress in your fitness journey. And that's an odd thing for a fitness guy to say, but it's a truth that a lot of us are avoiding. Then I had a couple more. I talked about, the more we blame the department or the city or the village or whoever why we can't do things, the more power we give them. And that's an easy way to shift power from us and our responsibility back to them and say, well, it's not my fault. It's someone else's fault. I can't work out or I can't eat right or whatever it is, right? And that frustrates me because most of the times we do have enough to do something. It may not be exactly what we want and it's not ideal, but we have enough of resources or whatever to do something. So to shuffle it back and be like, well, I can't work out today because I don't have this specific piece of equipment. Now I can't work out. I mean, you can't work out the way you may want to, but it doesn't mean you can't do a workout or pursue your fitness journey or start one just because you don't have the best stuff or all the support that you would ideally like to have. Now, it's tricky, right? Because there does need to be a level of support embedded in the culture of like, yeah, this is an important thing. We are going to pay attention to this. You do need to do it. We don't have the best resources right now, either equipment-wise or support-wise or training-wise, but let's figure out how to get it done. That needs to be there. If that's not there and you're blaming on the back end, the reality is you're just harming yourself and you're sacrificing your potential effectiveness to martyr yourself that you don't have the perfect situation. It always keeps coming back to me. This keeps coming back to when I was playing hockey, and we were an okay team for a junior hockey team. We usually ended up like third or fourth in the conference or whatever, or the standings. The best team was from St. Louis and Peoria, from what I remember. And they had a terrible facility. The rink was junk. Their locker rooms were like a quarter of the size of ours. There was nothing to it. It was just guys who wanted to play hockey, and that was what was driving them. most of them had bigger aspirations of college or keep climbing the ladder in the hockey world. For a lot of guys I skated with, that junior team was like the main event. And so we wanted the fancy locker rooms. We wanted the pregame, fog machines and stuff like that. We wanted the cool jerseys. We wanted all the stuff that came with it. The player cards, the autographs, all the goofy stuff. We wanted all that stuff, where these guys down there had junk facilities, but they really wanted to play hockey, and they smoked everyone. That kind of feels like that carries over. That was an important lesson for me of like, how can these guys in this terrible locker room, in this junk rink, be so good? Well, it's because hockey was their focus, not all the extra stuff. And I think sometimes we fall in the trap of like forgetting that we can have a little grit sometimes, and things don't need to be perfect. And just because we work for a city or a village or whatever, that there's money somewhere, it's not always going to come to us. The money's not always going to come to us. The support's not always going to come to us. So if we hold on to that and hold that against ourselves by saying, well, they're not giving me support, I'm not going to work hard at my own physical fitness, that's just such a backwards thing. It's such a off-base thing such an off-base opinion to take on. And so there's a lot of times where I want to get back to that desire to be fit and do well, which to me emulates those guys in St. Louis who were so good with the junk facility. The focus is on the goal rather than, all the fancy stuff you get with it. We kind of get that confused sometimes. Now I'm kind of getting lost on my train of thought, because in today's true episode, the real reason there's an episode, I'm going to talk about the process versus the progress when it comes to the dark ages of lifting and how some facilities kind of suck you in under false pretense. But let's start with that. So if you're interested in the broadcast channel, it's under the Fourth Shift Fitness on Instagram. There's 3 long posts I put up there yesterday, longer to read about just that. I also said, like, if you're the kind of person that, I don't know, complains about that, you're going to complain about BP not showing up at your door with a fuel truck because your gas is low in your car. I don't know. But go check it out. Let me know what you guys think about that. Please shoot me a message on the side, since you can't do it on the broadcast channel, but more of that stuff. Anyways, today's real topic is just highlighting a few parts, the sneaky parts of the fitness industry, specifically when it comes to firefighters and the fire service. Now, there's 2 big things I keyed in on with this. The first thing is that there's no perfect program. There's no perfect program for firefighters, regardless of the marketing that you'll see of people working out in their fire gear, on the fire ground, next to a drill tower, wearing blue stuff, wearing reflective stuff, whatever, dragging things that looks like stuff you work with. They're using those implements, but when it comes down to it, there's no perfect firefighter program. But I'll get into what there is. And the second one is that everything works for the first 6 to 12 to 14 weeks. That's the time period when a lot of gyms and facilities and programs will try to pounce on you and prove to you that what they're selling, what you're doing, is the best possible thing. Because look at these improvements you've made in this short duration of time. That's a trick. It's a trick that we're going to get into a little bit. So let's start with the no perfect program front of this thing. And I got a few things written down here. My computer's low on battery, so I had to use paper like a Neanderthal. But here's one of the things that you see often in the fitness industry is you're going to get in this program that's specifically designed for firefighters and first responders, and you're going to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. So I just want to touch on that quickly, because it's kind of a misnomer, kind of a misrepresentation of what's going on. It's been more or less disproven at this point, but it's also one of those things that sounds really good, easy selling point, what people want. So let's just keep saying it, even though it goes much deeper than that. A long time ago, I went to Perform Better, and one of the presenters had a presentation that was called it was basically, here's a list of things that we say as fitness professionals that we know are junk, but it translates well to the public. So we can say those to the public, but let's know the true meaning behind it. That's not the title. That would have been a terrible title. But that's what the idea was, right? And this build muscle, lose fat at the same time thing is kind of that. Now, if we go back to the fundamental building blocks of physiology, to lose weight, to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You need to be burning more, quote unquote, burning more than you're taking in. You're in a calorie deficit. You have a fewer number of calories, so you're losing weight. To build muscle, you need to be in a calorie surplus, because you need the extra building blocks to then repair the damage you've done to your muscles from working out. So you can't at the same time be in a deficit to lose weight and a surplus to build muscle. It's very difficult to do. There's also an energy system debate in there of like you can only train one energy system at the same time. Don't get that one confused. This is just building muscle, losing fat. What's more than likely happening if you get a program that's working for you and you're seeing results and it's promised to build muscle and lose fat at the same time is you're losing fat. You're now in this program, you're active, you're burning more calories, you're probably doing some very good muscle damage in a positive way. You're losing fat, which is revealing more muscle, which makes you look more muscular. And then the muscle is not going to be built for 14 to 20 weeks after you start, but we're going to get into that in the second part because that's easily confused with what's actually happening, why you're getting quote unquote stronger in the first couple months here. Anyways, I'm going to keep looking at my notes here because I don't want to miss anything. It's one of the biggest struggles I have with podcasting stuff is I try to make bullet points and I skip over a few and then I listen to it or somebody asked me a question and I thought I covered it and it drives me nuts. But I'm going to try to stay more organized this time. There's no perfect program for firefighters, okay? But here's what there is. There's one that you can do consistently and build community around and see really good positive results from that do help you do your job better. Those programs absolutely exist. But there's not one in particular. It's not spin class, it's not jiu-jitsu, it's not biking, well, it's spin class, it's not CrossFit, it's not strongman. Those are tools, okay? So those are methods you use to train. What I'm talking about is the training. There's a style of training out there that you like or that you can tolerate and that you can be a part of a community with, which is almost more important a lot of times. That can help you with your goals, okay? What there isn't is the ultimate perfect firefighter program because it may be effective on one side, but you might not like it, or it might be crazy expensive, or it might be unrealistic with the equipment it has you do, right? It might be a great program, but it's not going to fit with your lifestyle and your abilities and your environment and all that. So it's not perfect. It means it's not perfect. What there is that program that you can do consistently and build community with and be enthusiastic about that you like doing for longer than 4 to 6 to 10 to 12 weeks. So that's the trick is it's got to be something that you can see yourself doing for the long duration because your career is a long duration. It's 30 years. You can absolutely skip around from thing to thing. I do that. I mean, a lot of guys do that where they'll be into mountain biking this year and be into whatever this year. And that's fine because you're actively finding stuff to do. But for a lot of people, it's like, okay, I like doing CrossFit. Now I'm a CrossFitter. That's what I do. Or I like doing mountain biking. Now I'm a bike guy. That's what I do. So it's just finding that thing that you can devote time to without devoting a lot of brain power to in making decisions, right? Now, a lot of traps with that, with the fire service, are in fact the terminology that people use with it. Firefighter specific, functional fitness, tactical fitness, all that stuff. What that means is nothing. Because it's like the whole functional fitness debate of like, what is functional fitness? Well, it's something that helps you function better and you're fit. So that's everything. But they're selling words. It's marketing. It's buzzwords, right? I would rather have someone do something that's considered completely not tactical, but they enjoy and do consistently and see benefits from than watching someone force themselves into wearing gear to work out and this quote unquote tactical program that they hate. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to have a long fitness journey and a long career, not get engrossed in as much intense tactical stuff as you can and then struggle your way through it for 30 years. Okay. Now here's something I want you guys to think about is that our job tasks and our job demands are highly specific, extremely specific for your department, your position in the department, who you are as a person. Those things, how you throw a ladder varies from person to person. How you pull a hose line may vary from person to person because of your size, your weight, your gender, all that stuff, right? Those tasks are very specific. Our protocols are very specific. Our fireground operations are very specific from any other industry. All that stuff in the fire service tasks we have to perform are highly specific to our occupation. But our bodies, the thing doing those tasks is painfully generic, like as generic as it comes. Nathan's got all these toys, all the action figures, right? And you can take their arms off and put different arms on. You put like a blaster arm on or or a wing on or something like that. That is a specific body part for a specific function, right? That he has that in his action figures. We don't have that. We don't have, when you got hired, they didn't take your leg off and put a firefighter leg on, or a paramedic neck on, or whatever, a paramedic back on. That'd be useful, right? Or firefighter biceps on. They didn't do that when you took the job. They took your existing super generic human organism and said, now do these very specific job tasks with it. So all is to say that we don't need to have a very specific fitness routine in terms of tasks. We need to have a very specific fitness routine in terms of your general fitness and your ability. So make your hips and your ankles and your knees and your back work as perfect as possible, as strong and robust and effectively as possible, and then translate that strength and that mobility and that ability into your tasks. That's where you're going to find how effective you are. Throwing a ladder over and over and over again doesn't mean you're throwing it well. It doesn't mean you're throwing it effectively. You might just be working really hard. But getting really strong and really efficient at tasks and force transference and dampening and force production, and then learning how to throw a ladder well, you may only need a dozen reps with that thing to be a pretty big pro. But if you keep ingraining garbage because you're using ladder throws as a workout, and each time you get more tired, and each time it gets more sloppy, and each time it gets less effective, all you're doing is building crap on crap on crap. And you're not going to end up with a good shining diamond at the end. That's not the way that works. So I'm an advocate for finding the system you like to do that gives you a well-rounded physique and skill set and strength profile and cardio profile, all those things, right? And you might have to blend a few, you might have to modify something like that, because as I'm saying, it's a lot that goes into it, right? But find the thing that you can do consistently and well, and that you are enthusiastic about going back to. Take all that fitness and all that ability that you've gained, and then go practice your fire stuff. Okay. Now we've got a little bit off topic, a little bit. That almost got into don't work out in gear tangents. Very similar to that one, but we're not broaching that one yet, or today I should say. But just something to think about. Your tasks are specific, but your body is insanely generic. So treat it as such, and then teach it how to do the tasks. Okay. So here's some things I do want you to look for in the program, though, because I've told you what you don't have to look for. Here's some things to look for. First of all, look for the community you want to be a part of, okay? When Kurt had the gym, it was very obvious when people would come in and they were accustomed to a certain community. For a very short duration, it was a CrossFit gym. Then we kind of moved away from that, but we kept the name on the CrossFit box locator. I can't remember what it is. It was a registered affiliate, so it was searchable by CrossFit on their main site, even though we weren't really doing CrossFit at the time. So you get people come in, and the average CrossFit gym, as soon as you walk through the door, your shirt goes off, the headband goes on, chalk is flying. It's just a party, right? That was not the environment that we built at LGN. We built a very, mature environment. People kept their shirts on. There was no chalk. People just came in. They worked hard. We had a good time, and then they went back to their life. It was a bunch of busy professionals in there just kicking ass. So it was obvious when someone would come in and take their shirt off, everybody was like, what is this person doing? Like, this is not part of that community. And that person would probably just keep doing their thing. No big deal if they were just visiting for a day. But the next time they came in, their shirt usually stayed on, or they didn't come back. Not that we pushed them out, but that just wasn't the community they were looking for. You got to find that community. You got to find what gym and what atmosphere works for you the best to complete your goals. And it may not be the thing that your friend likes. It may not be the thing that your brother or sister is doing and they love and they lost 50 pounds with. It's got to be yours, though. It's got to be yours, and it's got to be something you take ownership of and like doing. That way you're more likely to go back to it. The other thing I want you to figure out is you have to, first and foremost, I said community was first, but first and foremost, you have to justify the cost and the value in your brain. I was talking with a guy recently who's going to Disney, and he's not thrilled about how much it costs to go to Disney. And I agree with him. I'm not thrilled about how much it costs for him to go to Disney. That's why I'm trying not to go to Disney with the kids and Katie. But he was not happy with the amount it cost. And we were talking about it, and we both agreed, though, once you get on that plane, those thoughts about how much you're paying for everything have to go away. They got to go away. You cannot be sitting there with the mouse next to you and then saying like, this is not a $17 pancake. This is not worth it. All that's going to do is ruin the trip that you paid so much money for. So with fitness facilities, workout plans, all that, it cannot be something that when it doesn't go your way, or you walk in and something's dirty, or something's not put away, or you're not doing something that you would love to do, it can't be somewhere that you'd be like, well, I wasted my money here today, or like this place isn't worth it because of this. It's got to be someplace where even if something's not perfect, the thought of how much you're spending on it doesn't enter your mind because you enjoy being there so much. That's a very difficult thing to do, especially for firefighters, because we love a deal, dude. We love a deal. We love special considerations. We love discounts, love all that stuff. And we love to complain if the thing we're getting a discount on doesn't match up to standards that don't exist. We will complain immediately. But find a place where you don't mind if things don't go perfectly. And the first thought in your head is, man, I'm paying $200 a month to be here, and this happens. You got to get out of that mindset, or you got to find a place where you're like, man, this happens. That's a bummer. Let's keep doing stuff because I love being here. Much better, right? That's number one, because like I said, we love them deals, bro. I don't want to spend too much more time on this. We're at 21 minutes already. I want to move on to the second dirty little thing about the fitness industry. This one might be brief, but it's that everything works. Everything works for the first 6 to 12 weeks. Like everything works. Dan John, famous strength coach, personality guy, love him or hate him, whatever. He had a really good saying that like, I could tell you to go outside and throw dirt in the air for the next 30 days and you would get stronger if you do it at the right intensity, right? And that's true. Any arbitrary thing will work in the short term. And it's for a very kind of sneaky reason, but gyms try to capitalize on it and lock you in for like years of contracts, right? Or a year contract based on the first 6 to 12 weeks. But it's kind of a trick, okay? So what we have, let me see. Doesn't feel trapped if you're seeing. I don't know. I got a bunch of stuff written down. I'm just going to go through the thing of the physiological versus the neural adaptations versus physiological changes. Okay, so we have these two things. Neural adaptations. Good thing I have paper here. I got to draw it out. If you're watching on YouTube or whatever, now you won't be able to see this. I'm not going to draw it. You have these two things in the first 6 to 12 weeks. You have neural adaptations, okay? Consider that your brain. And you have physiological changes. Consider that your muscles, okay? Now, here's the example. You walk into a gym, and they say, hey, we're doing bench press today. And you've never done bench press, okay? You've never held a barbell and been on your back and done a bench press. Brand new to you. You start off with a 45-pound bar, and it feels tough, okay? Then they put 20 pounds on, they put 10 pounds on each side. You're up to 65 pounds and you're all over the place and you're like, this is difficult. So you do a couple sets of that and you end it at 65 for the day. Okay. You come back 2 days later, you want to do bench press again. You start with 45, you get to 65. It's still a little sketchy, but it feels way better. So you put a 5 on each side. Okay. Come back a few days later. Now this is a lot of bench pressing, but this is highlighting a point. Come back more. Your weight goes from 65, 95, 105, 135. At the end of a few weeks, you're at 165. Excuse me. You're at 165. Now, what's happening is neural adaptations, okay? What the gym will try to sell you on is physiological changes. They're saying, look how much strength and capacity and everything you've built in just a few short weeks. We obviously have the solution to all your problems. Sign here and stay with us forever. Okay? Now here's what's actually happening. Your brain is organizing itself and figuring out how to push this weight off your chest more effectively and more efficiently. And it's neural adaptations, right? You're neurologically adapting to the demands that are being imposed upon you. The right things are quote unquote turning on. You're using better leverage. You're more stable. Everything's kind of syncing up. There's kinetic linking going on. That's a cool word. And you're able to press more weight up. Now, the whole time, sneaky, unknowing, you've been at 165 or 155 or whatever the top number was. That's your true baseline of strength. That's your baseline. But because they got to elicit that response over the course of a few weeks and watch you go up, they can they can pawn that off now as we saved you, right? We saved you and we made you 100% better than you were just a few short weeks ago. Pay us some money. Now, after that, after about 6 to 10 to 12 weeks, the neural adaptations plateau off, and then the physiological changes start happening. So then you start actually building appreciable muscle. Those changes take a long, long time to elicit. It takes 6 to 12 weeks for them to catch up and actually start building muscle on. The neurologic changes, they plateau off, but then you start getting strong. Now you start building muscle, getting stronger, but that happens super slowly, okay? That happens really slowly, and that enters what I like to call the dark ages of lifting, where your progress will be up and down, up and down, up and down, a lot of down, some up for like the next 2 to 3 years on the same lift, okay? That's a tough spot to be in because you come in some days and you're like, I really want to set a PR on my bench press today, and you end up being weaker than you were the week before. And then other days, no big deal, we're just doing bench press, now you're stronger. It throws your mind for a loop, but the improvements, we're not doing 10, 15, 20 pound jumps anymore. We're talking like 5 pound PRs. We're talking like you put 2 or 3 months in to get 10 more pounds on your bench press, which is a monster jump in bench press after a few years. And then you're like, I think I'm going to try, instead of 225, I'm going to try 230. That's going to be my big goal for this year, is 5 pounds on my bench press, right? Dark ages of lifting. But here's where it goes back together, okay? You can absolutely make it through the dark ages of lifting if you've taken care of point number 1, which we talked about 5 minutes ago, which is you found the place to train that you love being at, and the process can get you past the hump in progress, okay? So the dark ages is the progress. Oh boy. The dark ages is the progress, but the process can be a lot of fun, okay? And finding somewhere that you can go and work out and build strength and get more well-rounded to be a better firefighter, find somewhere that you're enjoying the process of going to can stifle the depressive effects of that progress that you're going to hit a roadblock on when you're in the dark ages of lifting. So it goes back to number 1. Find that place, find that community, find that system, environment, whatever it has to be. Find that thing that you like doing. Maybe it's something you did a long time ago that you want to get back to. Maybe it's something your friend did and lost 50 pounds with and got stronger and you want to try it out. Maybe it's something you haven't even heard of yet. But find that thing that you want to go do. There's a community around. You're enthusiastic about it. You're going to be consistent with it above almost everything else, consistent with it. And when you hit the dark ages of lifting in your fitness career, you'll be in the place that you want to be, and that process will take you past the stifling progress. I think it's a good way to wrap it up. I think I got, let's see here. I don't know. Progress might be brutal. Process can be a lot of good. Back to point 1, into the dark ages. I think I got it. I think you guys got it. It's been almost 30 minutes. I think we got it. Okay. If you like the podcast, my pages, the Tailboard Talk podcast, the Force Shift Fitness page on Instagram, if you like any of that stuff, one easy way to show that you like it is to hit the Buy Me a Coffee button on the website or on the show page. It's just a donation to the show. We have people donate 3, 5, 20 coffees, and that goes towards this kind of thing, equipment to do this. It goes towards me renting a podcast studio in a few months when Nathan's here all the time. It really does go towards getting coffee a lot of the times, but it's just a good way to help support the show. So if you dig what I'm doing and what Four Shifts is doing and the guests I have on, please feel free to donate and support the show. Otherwise, I want you guys to go find out where you want to improve. Go figure out some place that we can be more capable and durable, both on shift and away from it. That's the tagline for Force Shift Fitness, and I believe in that, and that's what we're trying to do here, be more capable and durable, both on shift and away from it. All right, talk to you guys soon. Be a Force Shifter. Hope you enjoyed the video side of this, if you chose to watch or if I kept it in, and talk to you guys soon. See ya.